Hi everyone, this is Narendar and welcome to Cybercode Edulabs Golang series. Welcome to the series on Golang, a series that is gonna start from absolute scratch, absolute basics, and this is gonna go in depth and behind the scenes of Golang. And Go is a very amazing and powerful language and which is modernly designed. And very impressive thing about Go language is whether you are a programmer at the very initial phase of writing the code or to somebody who is the way more advanced, you have written years and years of code, you are gonna still love this. And this is a code which is already in the production and people are just loving it, and you will know the reason why they are loving it by the end of this series. So without a further ado, let's go ahead and start our official journey to become gophers. We call people who write code as gophers, like people who write code in Python called Pythonisters. So there we got gophers. So Go is also termed as a next-gen programming language. Some people also go to the length and say that if C would have been designed in this present era, this would be it. So this is how powerful the Go language is. And you are going to very soon understand that a lot of languages bring up the features over the time, and some of these languages don't come up to utilize the true power of cloud infrastructure, and that is one of the reasons why the Golang is getting so much of popularity, as this language is already in production. So I'll bring up a little bit of theory in the initial videos, then we are gonna go just write some code and we'll read some documentation and have fun in writing code in the Golang. So let me go ahead and officially get started and answer some of your questions. Because these are the common ones which appears as you go initially in the language itself. First, is this language compiled, or is it interpreted, or is it somewhat in between? So in case if you don't know, just a quick sidebar, the languages can be compiled as every code is being read first and output file is being created like an exe, and you just run that, it is really fast. Or it can be interpreted just like JavaScript code runs line by line, or it can be somewhat in between just like Java does. Now, what is the difference between Golang and Java or other languages? Is that Golang is compiled. So in the languages which are in between like Java, it just doesn't get compiled, it just gives you some of the intermediate binaries, and it expects that any machine who is going to run this code should have this virtual machine installed, or also known as JVM. So not the case with Golang. Golang actually handles that way differently. It just compiles everything and runtime is big into the final product. So as long as you have Go installed, you don't need any JVM or any kind of thing. You just go ahead and run that. Now this is what we do that. Not only that, Golang also gives you some set of tools that you can utilize, and we are going to talk about that the way end of this course, that how these tools can be utilized and how you are gonna take so much of advantage of it, because there is lot of control which this Golang takes from the operating system and literally gives it to you, especially in the case of threads, and we are gonna talk about them a way later. And this is all about it. Executables are exported at the compile time, and Go gives you the whole option to produce the compiled output or the final executables for Windows or for Linux and for Mac. Another thing is what. This is really very important. What and where I can use Golang. What can I build with it? Where can I use it? And good thing is that Golang is already in production, and that is a bigger advantage that any language has ever seen. This language is already moving into Dropbox and a whole lot of Google ecosystem and a whole lot of cloud infrastructure, and a lot of companies are using it and they are shrinking their machines. They were previously managing 5 or 6 machines, and now they are shrinking into 2 machines. And later on I'm gonna give you more examples, and that is the beauty of Golang, as it is already in production, and that's why people love it so much. And moving on, this is one of the mistakes that I would like to warn you all. Please don't bring in any baggage. And what does I mean by that baggage? Let's say if you have coded in any other language, that experience will always help you, no matter what the language is. But bringing up that mindset, this language doesn't have switch and case statement or something else. No, it doesn't have, and it shouldn't have, because the mindset with this language is designed is really different, and it took me a long time to finally understand that, and I will show you and I will share that experience as well. But please don't bring any baggage. This language misses a lot of features that you are kind of familiar in writing, but you don't need them in this language. This is entirely a different language. Syntaxes of most of the languages, like creating variables, constants, loops and conditionals, are very much similar with minor differences here, and there which I'm gonna talk about. Moving on, is this language object oriented? Kind of yes and no. According to the true definition of object oriented programming language, you should have classes and you should have objects. Here we don't have any classes in Golang. Instead we have structs, which is an alternative for classes. So we also don't have any kind of overloading, like we don't have operator overloading, we don't have a method overloading. Some people call that as overwriting as well. No, we don't have any of that thing. So what you see is directly on the code itself, and you can understand that. That's one of the principles I will discuss later on about that. Golang is designed with simplicity in mind, that what you see on the code, you can just decide what is about to happen by looking at the code itself. There is no prerequisite. You don't need to understand that whether this language supports overriding or not. That is not the case. That is not how this language is designed. So there are differences here which I'm gonna tell you that, but I know these are common questions that you want to know when you start the journey in coding. So I want to just clear them up right away in the first video. Moving on, what is missing in this language? In fact, a lot is missing in this language, but not in the term that this language is lagging. This language is missing a whole lot of things. Especially a lot of people point out that try catch is missing, and a lot of people write articles that how you can mimic that try and catch. Honest answer, you should never. This language is not designed like other languages, so there is no try catch and you will never need that. That's what it is missing. There is no try catch, and you also gonna see Lexer is doing a lot of work for you. For example, don't worry, I'll explain this as we write code. You don't write semicolons in this language, and I'm gonna walk you through with the documentation as well. The documentation says you should be writing it, but actually the longer goal is to understand that why this Lexer is there and what help it is providing. For example, even if you don't write semicolon, it's not gonna give you any error, because Lexer actually provides you all of that. I know it is going quite a lot in depth of it, and we haven't started writing of the code, but I'm pretty sure that this has answered some of your questions and gave you good mindset to start with the Golang. And that's what I want you from this very first video. And in the next video, we are gonna see the homepage of Golang, and just go ahead and see what are the tools that are required to write all these things, and from there we are gonna get started. So let's go ahead and catch up in the next video. Thank you very much.